Hello, in this video we're going to talk about basic exponential function, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, and the exponential growth and decay.
This is the basic graph of an exponential function. It is represented as f of x is equal to 2 to the power of x. Has the reference points in the coordinates 0, 1. The domain goes through minus infinity to infinity, the range from 0 to infinity, and the horizontal asymptote is located in y equals 0.
The Chernobyl nuclear power plant accident occurred on April 26, 1986. It was the largest nuclear energy disaster in history. The explosion took place in the fourth block of the Chernobyl power plant, located only 120 kilometers from the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, close to the border with Belarus. The disaster was because of a chain of events, starting with the crew on the night shift who were taking a test on reactor number 4. Everything was good until the power that was meant for the plant started to drop to very low energy. The operators agreed to stop the preparation for the reactor test, but the head chief insisted in carrying out the test, even though the energy was at 200 megawatts and the requirement was 700 to 1000 megawatts. The chief wouldn't listen to the other crewmen because they were lower rank. The preparation for the reactor test continued as the chief ordered, and energy continued to drop. The test consisted in shutting down the power, feeding the mega turbine, and that meant that water stopped flowing through the reactor. So the cooling the water provided stopped for 40 seconds before the diesel generators took over. Within the reactor, there was a hotspot growing under the core, and the bottom rods were located on top, so they weren't distributing the power. So when the test began, the heat was so intense that it exploded, lifting the 1000 metric ton cover off the top of the reactor, which caused more pressure tubes to break, and that caused an even bigger explosion. The resulting steam explosion and fires released at least 5% of the radioactive reactor core into the atmosphere and downwind. Workers in the plant inhaled the particles, and Soviet authorities started evacuating people from the area around Chernobyl within 36 hours of the accident. In 1986, 115,000 local people were evacuated. The government subsequently resettled another 220,000 people. A total of 134 people died either by the initial impact of the explosion or the radiation that affected their whole bodies. About 600,000 rescue workers and liquidators received an estimated amount of 100 millisievert. 1 millisievert is equal to 1 milligray of radiation. Life expectancy nowadays in Ukraine is from 50 to 65 years. An increase in thyroid cancer in the area is also an effect of the Chernobyl disaster. Mental health problems rose exponentially since the disaster. The Chernobyl disaster not only affected Ukraine, but parts of Belarus, Eastern Europe, and Russia. The Chernobyl accident rose safety concerns when it comes to nuclear power. An example of exponential growth will be in a bank account. You can use this formula to predict the amount of money in any year. P will be the beginning amount, E is Euler's number that is equal to about 2.7, R is the growth rate, and T is equal to time. A will be the final amount. An example of exponential decay is air pressure. The pressure in the air decreases as you go higher about 12% for every 1000 meters. In this example, the variable t changes from time to meters. The rate is negative because it is not a growth, it is a decay.
Exponential growth is when something increases in value at a constant rate. The function that represents it is a equals p times c to the power of r times t. The main characteristics of exponential growth are that they get big very fast. They're always positive and they have a horizontal asymptote of y equals 0. Exponential decay is when something decreases in rate proportional to its current value. The function that describes it is a equals p times c to the power of negative r times t. Nuclear energy is high maintenance and has high risk of contaminating if something goes wrong. The consequences of an accident will affect both nature and human beings. We do not believe that nuclear energy is clean energy because it leaves a lot of radioactive waste that takes thousands of years to decompose. There are very better options such as solar panels, wind turbines, etc. Yes, we are aware of the Laguna Verde nuclear power plant, which is located in the coast of the Gulf of Mexico in the city of Alto Lucero, Veracruz. We think it is safe because nothing has happened since it was installed. However, there's always a fear it may happen an explosion as in Chernobyl. This will be catastrophic to the population living there, but it will also damage many sea species as well as many beaches. Yes, the Chernobyl disaster could have been prevented. First, the infrastructure and materials used in the construction of the power plant should have been changed. There were many engineers that warned the government about the risks of using graphite materials, as they could quickly ignite. Another way it could have been prevented is by having adequate and capable people supervising the test and by following the safety protocols. Once the explosion happened, there was no way of containing all the radiation, but there were ways to stop further radiation leaks. We believe that the radioactive pollution did reach Mexico, but not in high enough amount to kill us or have health risks. The radiation was way more concentrated in Europe. Some environmental consequences are that crops and animals received a lot of radiation through soil contamination, especially from the isotope caesium 137. Even to this day, there are parts of Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus that still have contaminated agriculture and animal products such as milk. The forest trees surrounding the power plant turned into a red color and then died. Wildlife in the area has been noted to be growing with mutations. Water bodies in Scandinavia and Germany have been reported of being contaminated with caesium 137 and strontium 90. A nuclear fight between countries. A smoke layer could be created around the planet covering out 10% of the incoming sunlight. This will cause the lower temperatures the planet has faced over the past 1000 years. This will also affect agriculture, because growing seasons could disappear for over more than a decade. The production of nuclear weapons creates a huge amount of waste containing radioactive activity, which ends up in rivers, lakes, oceans, and soils. The nuclear power plants emit harmful chemicals into the air that have high probability to cause many diseases, including cancer. Nuclear plants cause waste heat. That is, what this heat do is that it damages the Earth's atmosphere. This results that air is more exposed to heat produced by the sun. Global warming is the final result of this. We weren't aware about all the consequences nuclear energy is causing. As a team, we feel shocked about the environmental consequences, but we also feel good because we are in time to make solutions to these problems. One of the main problems is the radioactive waste, and one possible solution for this is to bury the waste deep down the ground. But first, people need to be convinced that this actually works and that it's safe. In general, we felt good doing this project because we didn't have any type of inconvenience in the team. First, it was kind of difficult, but then as we started, it got a little more comfortable for everyone and we knew how to work together. What we like the most of working with our teammate is that we learn how each person works and also to get to know each other.